Okay, so I'm finally doing another video. This one's going to be on the Tier 9 Bat Chat. I found it to be a very interesting tank to play, and it was a lot more difficult than I originally expected it to be. I thought I'd be able to just pick it up and play it, because I had so much experience playing other autoloaders and autoloading light tanks and light tanks in general, like the American autoloading line and the RU-251. Um, but it was actually a lot harder than I expected it to be. I think that's because being at higher tier, there's a lot more high caliber guns, and so mistakes are punished a lot more quickly than I expected. And so I ended up having to be a lot more cautious than I originally thought I would have to be. Okay, so here we're going into the battle lineup, and um, it's always important to look at the teams, but it's very extra important in a light tank, because it determines how you're going to scout. And so in this one, I noticed there aren't very many enemy medium tanks, and so I usually only go this way um, when there's mostly heavies or TDs on the enemy team, because it doesn't work very well if I'm spotted early on. And so the main thing you need to focus on in this tank and in other autoloaders is preserving your hit point pool. um, you really need the hit points late game because you don't have very much else to work with. You don't have gun depression, you don't have armor, and so if you have to go in to finish off enemies, you need to be able to take a hit or two so you can finish getting your clip into them. And so I noticed that the enemy team split between B and C, and for some reason our team did as well. And so now I'm trying to decide where I'm going to go for the rest of the match. And I decided it's always better to find enemies early on. Just play it safe and try to find people who are only go after people who are isolated and that you can get free shots into. And so I noticed the Object 268 was kind of running around over there. So I chase after him. Um, End up getting in a little bit deeper than I expected to. I was kind of hoping the Leopard one might survive a bit better, but that didn't happen. So I end up getting out of there. Um, and so now I'm just kind of resetting and circling back around, and because you really can't brawl in this tank at all, you have to stay back, and your team might sometimes get angry at you or yell at you, calling you a coward, but if you don't preserve your hit point pool for late game, then you really can't do that much. You're not very effective once you're down to a one shot because you need to be able to take a hit so that you can get your clip into someone. So right now I'm just looking for free damage coming around from a different angle and try to finish off the 268, go a little bit trolled. And so I'm going to move around again and try to come at them from another direction. Um, Now I'm hoping that our tire list takes the hint and realizes it's time to push up. And it still looks like it's a bit of a stalemate in the city. And then here's a very important decision. I could have gone over the hill to finish and clip down the leopard, but because they're tunneling me, our tireless was able to push up and just kill them. And so there's no reason to take damage when he's perfectly capable of finishing off these enemies by himself, since they were focusing on me. And don't be afraid to snipe in this tank, especially earlier on in the game, because you're really just trying to get shots of opportunity on people and just, punish people who make mistakes, because you don't really have, when it's too dangerous to push up and play aggressively when you don't know where all the enemies are. But at this point, pretty much everyone's been spotted, and we've cleaned up the mediums that went to A, and so I'm going to come in here, and I notice that the IS-7 is down to a 1 clip for me, and so I'm going to ignore the E75 over there, and just going to finish off the IS-7. And so you can be really aggressive in this tank, but, only when you can come in and burst an enemy down like that. Otherwise, you'll just get stuck on your reload and end up dying. You can't even brawl effectively against tier 8s head on. You have to stay back or one clip them. And people forget about this a lot, but don't forget to aim for drive wheels. That's often where engines are, like you saw he caught fire there, and it really helps for flanking people. Here I make a bit of a mistake though. I did not notice the cap was so close, and so I took a few seconds to drive around the building, and we ended up losing that one because of that. But the main point that I was trying to make, and what you have to keep in mind when playing this tank, is you have to stay back and preserve your hit points early on. There, yeah, there are just too many big guns at tier 9 that can HE you down in 2 or 3 shots. You also have to make sure to not get pinned down, like getting stuck behind a rock and they know you're there, so if you pull out, you'll just get shot. Eventually someone will just push up and get you, so always make sure you have an escape route. Um, Besides that, I hope you liked the video. It's a very difficult tank to play, but I at least found it very fun. Uh, and it's one of those tanks where when it works, it really works, and just some games it's hard to leverage its advantages, but uh, overall I definitely recommend it, and it's just an interesting line. I'm looking forward to the tier 10.